everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today we're going to be talking about Sailor Moon, Another Story for the Super Famicom. So the reason I said Super Famicom is because Sailor Moon and Other Stories has actually not been released in the West for the Super Nintendo. What I have here is a reproduction cart that I got from Video Games Plus. I beat the game, worked really great, great translation, obviously like a fan translation, but this was a solid reproduction card. I have no complaints. This is the second reproduction card I've used, the first being Mother 3. So this is a game that I've always wanted to play. I tried it on a ROM like, oh boy, probably back in like 2005 or 6, and I really enjoyed it. I'm a longtime Sailor Moon fan. Love the series. I think it's great. You know, the whole magical girl thing. I've loved it since it, you know, was introduced to us in the West back in like 94 or 5. Anyway, and I've loved it ever since. It's just a great anime, a great manga. So seeing as there's a JRPG of Sailor Moon, it's something that I basically have to play. And so that's why I finally got this game this year, and I have finally played and finished it. So the target audience for this game, I would say, is two groups. Number one would be Sailor Moon fans, but these have to be Sailor Moon fans who are obviously interested in video games and are okay with RPGs. And the second would be people who don't care about Sailor Moon, but they just want a fun JRPG. And the only downside to this game is if you're a hardcore JRPG fan and you don't care about Sailor Moon, this game is really easy. It's not that hard. It's hard if you don't do any grinding, but if you do grinding to a specific level and your whole team is basically, you know, at a certain level to beat the boss, it's literally very easy. This is not a hard game. So that's the only downside. If you're really into JRPGs, maybe this is a pass and not worth getting the reproduction card just because, I mean, you have to kind of be a Sailor Moon fan to maybe appreciate it, because I didn't really care that it was so easy because I just love Sailor Moon, and I love the fact that this is a modern-day RPG. It's a time-traveling game, so sometimes you're in the past, sometimes you're in the future, and a lot of the time you are in the present. So again, it's a tough one to recommend because I would recommend it. I thought it was actually really fun. I'd love to see an update of this game. I thought, you know, it looks wonderful. The sprites in this game have always, intrigued me. I remember seeing them on some website years ago and thinking that looks so fun. They really remind me of sort of the Chrono Trigger-esque sort of, that style of 16-bit. Not the squishy Pokemon sort of Earthbound type characters, but more of the Chrono Trigger style sprites. And the game is gorgeous. I mean, you're walking around modern day Tokyo. It's really fun, and you'll be, in some place in the past. There's various places, very different landscapes and settings. So it's really fun because sometimes you'll be in an area that's really cold and there's ice everywhere, and then sometimes you'll be in a place that's sort of in the Middle East. It's really fun. I really enjoyed this game, but I also really like Sailor Moon, so I can appreciate all the characters. I already know who they all are. I know all their backstories, and this game does not go into that. So if you don't know anything about Sailor Moon, this game takes place after season 3 of the anime, so you can still play it, but you might not know who anyone is, why they're doing what they're doing, why certain characters are doing what they're doing. So it's kind of weird that way. So this is a really odd situation in the sense where I enjoyed myself, but it is an easy game, and it might be for Sailor Moon fans only. I will talk about the gameplay. I really liked it. Very, very typical old school JRPG battle system. Pick a move, there you go, it's your turn, that type of deal. Nothing really to comment on, just that's the kind of battle system I like. I don't like a lot of battle systems from modern day JRPGs where there is so much going on, so many things to buy, so many things you have to add to do this, and it's like almost another language. I kind of don't care for that. I like really simple battle systems, kind of like I go, you go. Maybe that's my problem, I don't know, but I really do enjoy the simplicity of the, Super Nintendo era games. Even some of the PlayStation 1 Final Fantasies, they're not that ridiculous. I know some of them they introduce like the odd new thing that maybe the Super Nintendo or Nintendo RPGs didn't have, but it's just, I don't know, I sort of don't have the patience to like go into this other world and other language of battle systems. So this is nice. I really enjoyed it. Simple battle system, effective, really great animations for all the attacks. Just overall really great. I don't really have any complaints there other than it was very enjoyable. In terms of the music, it's pretty good. It's nothing to blow your mind. It's okay. There isn't really Sailor Moon themes in it other than the main theme, which is sort of at the start menu. Everything else is new, which is fine. And nothing is that bad. Some of the battle themes are, it's not that they're bad, but you know how it is when you've heard a battle theme so often. Like, there are a few times I put it on mute because I was like, I can't really handle this. I'm done because this is going to be like a 20-minute thing, and I'd rather just listen to something on YouTube because it was starting to get annoying. But I think that goes with a lot of RPGs. In terms of the story, I will comment. Sailor Moon can get kind of messed up in terms of story. People may not think that. They think it's just some magical girl thing, but some of the issues that they deal with are kind of complicated. And although that isn't really necessarily the case here, I just found the story to be a little bit too much in terms of you're like, okay, what's going on again? Like, it was a little bit all over the place, and so I wasn't, I'll be honest, I knew the gist of what was going on, but I didn't make a conscious effort to be like, okay, we're going to this specific place because it was a little bit just too much. I found that it was unnecessary, just a lot of stuff going on that I felt like this didn't need to happen. It could have been a bit simpler for me. I don't know. I just kind of found myself going like, what the hell is going on again? It was just a little bit too much. And again, that could be my problem. I don't know. But based on other arcs in the Sailor Moon universe, they're pretty easy to keep up with. Then again, it's done over a course of an anime or the manga, so it may be easier to follow. I don't know what they did. I just found that they put too much in here. I just found like doing stuff I don't know. It was just, to me, the story was a little weak. I sort of didn't really care about the enemies that much. Nothing that hardcore was happening. But then again, there's a lot of tropes in this series, and there's certain things that happen over and over again. You kind of expect it. For example, Tuxedo Mask always seems to have something shitty happen to him. He's pretty much useless. So in the game, there's either he gets ill or he gets kidnapped, and it's like, oh, like I've seen it before so many times. And just, again, that might be the series as a whole. There might be an issue there. But in general, I just found the story to be really just Overall, this game is really good. I know I've been bitching, but it's only because I'm trying to think of things that, trying to nitpick. But I had a good time with it. The game is beautiful. I love the style of graphics in this game. I mean, that's a huge plus for me. I normally don't care about things like that as much, but when it comes to Super Nintendo games, it has to look like gorgeous. So games that are super colorful and just like cute sprites, I'm all over it. So that's why I like the games that I do. Again, story is a huge part, so this game lacks in story. So because of that, it is a little bit forgettable. But I like Sailor Moon, so I like just, being the characters. I know who they all are, so to some extent, I don't need backgrounds. I already know who each character is, what they do, their role in the series. I already know, so, it's kind of, to me, it was like a big Sailor Moon episode, as opposed to, an arc in the series, I guess, because it was spread out and all sorts of crazy things happen. I mean, you travel all over the world, you travel to the future and the past, so a ton of stuff was going on, but to me, it kind of just could have been a really big, like a long Sailor Moon movie, so it wasn't anything crazy, not a lot of memorable characters for me. But one thing that I did like about it was because the story is basically about a bunch of people in the future who want to mess with fate, you basically see a lot of old enemies you've defeated before because they're changing, fate and history. So you run into a lot of old enemies. So for fans of the series, you'll be like, oh, I've seen so-and-so before, or there's that person, that villain, they come back. So, I mean, that's kind of cool, but at the same time, it was a little bit like, I don't know, the story is just a little weak. And the reason being is this is not one of the main Sailor Moon manga arcs, so it is going to be not as good because it's not an original Sailor Moon story. It's just for a video game. However, they did a really good job with this. So I think if you're a Sailor Moon fan, you should definitely play this because you'll get like a ton of enjoyment out of it. It's really fun. And I also I loved the exploration. I mean, it's linear, but I just loved going around to different places in the world and walking around in little towns. That's always been a huge thing for me in JRPGs. I've loved just walking around in the towns. That's what made me fall in love with JRPGs in the first place, was walking around, like in On It and Earthbound. Something was just really interesting to me about that, as opposed to like, at the time comparing it to things like Donkey Kong Country, which was a completely different thing. So JRPGs are very different in that sense from other games, and so I really like it for that. The battle system, great. I really enjoyed it. So there are positives to this. You have to be a really hardcore JRPG fan in the sense where you go, I want, completionist. I should play every JRPG on the Super Nintendo. If you are not that way and you're hardcore and you'd rather play a game like Final Fantasy VI, then maybe this is not for you, because it is pretty easy, not much is going on, and you might go, what the hell, I don't understand who any of these people are. So that's a problem. Like I said, this is kind of a weird review because I enjoy it, but I know there are definitely cons to this, maybe over pros. But also some pros for fans. It is a fun game, so I definitely recommend it. I'm really glad I got to play it. It's been so long. I finally played this game, and it was very enjoyable. I'd like to see more Sailor Moon. I don't think that's going to happen, but it would be fun to see it just because Sailor Moon has kind of seen a resurge of nostalgia, and with the new series. There's a new Sailor Moon series going on right now, Sailor Moon Crystal, which is basically just a retelling of the manga, sort of more authentically than the anime did back in the 90s. So, I go into EB Games, I go into Hot Topic, and there's Sailor Moon things. So, who knows? It seems to be making a comeback. Maybe they would make, even if they made it like a Japanese only game and we somehow got a port over here, like a translation, I'll take it. But for a Sailor Moon fan to play a Sailor Moon JRPG, especially as a JRPG fan, this is a thumbs up. So overall, interesting game, a good game with some, subpar qualities, but again, something to check out, especially if you're a Sailor Moon fan. I really would recommend it if you're a Sailor Moon fan. But if you like bright, colorful, fun, whimsical, modern day RPGs like me, then also check it out. This was not that expensive. I think it was $40. Video Games Plus .ca. So check it out. There's so many other reproduction cards on there that I'm a little bit interested. So that's basically all I have to say about Sailor Moon, Another Story. It is, again, another story. And it was kind of nice to get something else Sailor Moon because I know everything in Sailor Moon, read the series, seen all the anime. So I'm definitely, it was nice to see something a little bit fresh. Great game. Not sure if it's for everyone, but that's all I have to say about it. So definitely check it out. I'll see you guys later.